Hey yo, what's up everybody? GWFawkes here. I'm back. It has been a while, I think over 4 months now, and finally back with something to say. Thank you for being patient and thank you for watching. So I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to talk about when I came back, and a thing that's been on my mind recently is Nintendo's D-pads suck. So, for example, this is one of my favorite controllers ever. This is the Pro Controller for the Switch. It's awesome in every way. It's really ergonomic, feels great, everything feels great except the D-pad. The D-pad is awful. It's basically unusable in any Tetris-like or puzzle game because down doesn't mean down. It's basically the worst part of this controller, and for those of you that thought the recent Xbox D-pad sucked, like, this blows that way out of the water. Second, this is a JoyCon. That's not a D-pad, those are buttons. That's terrible. I have actually smaller hands and these buttons are too small. There is a Hori gamepad that is a Joy-Con available that has a D-pad. The problem with that is it's not wireless, it has no battery or Bluetooth, and is only usable when it's attached to the system. I rarely play my system handheld, and when I do, I actually bring a stand and the Pro Controller because playing the Switch in handheld mode is very uncomfortable. It's not an ergonomic system. There's a reason why there's several brands that make ergonomic holders for it. It's just super frustrating. And while the Hori pad is a D-pad, I'm stuck wondering, and it's something I've been wondering ever since it came out, why Nintendo hasn't created a Joy-Con with this. Now, people have argued, well, you need to have buttons or else it won't work. So what you're saying is that you couldn't have a D-pad there because those aren't buttons? They are buttons. So that argument to me is completely thrown out. If you're talking about ergonomics, right? This is a black controller. How easy is it for you to see right now from there to tell up, down, left, or right on this? For you to see or judge the direction? Not at all. The D-pad, excuse me, is very difficult. The D-pad would have the exact same functionality as this. Okay, this way, it doesn't matter. It's a D-pad, it's gonna have those same buttons. In fact, I would argue it'd be better because a D-pad, you have some sense of rocker. You have some sense of rocker feel. Now, obviously I wouldn't want them to use the Switch Pro controller D-pad, but from my recollection and from playing it fairly recently, the SNES D-pad is amazing. It's a fantastic D-pad, and it's probably the best for me to play behind the PlayStation D-pad. I just love the PlayStation D-pad. But it's really got me thinking on why Nintendo hasn't branded a new one. And I know that the Switch Lite is coming out now, so that's definitely a thing because now you have one system. It's basically just a handheld now. I realize I'm probably in the minority in thinking that I like to play on a big screen. I like playing with a real controller, and the system as is not a real controller. I have only played this, the Switch handheld, for probably 10 hours. Out of all the games I've ever played. For me, I like gaming on a screen. And so not having that D-pad that's good really hinders that experience for me. Especially with the absolute wealth of indie titles that have come to Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's like an embarrassment of riches, and to play on a bigger screen with a crap D-pad is super frustrating. So I've been trying to think on why they wouldn't make it, and I really can't come up with a good explanation. So back to this, right? So the main argument that I've heard is you need buttons to register because you need to tell where it's at. So I think the Xbox has come up with a good solution to that. If you look at their design lab, what you can see with their design lab is that when you create a custom controller that aren't the colored AXYB buttons, they have little dots on the inside that are colored so that you know which buttons they are instinctively. That would work the same as this. If these buttons were colored and you switched it, then you would know, right? That's a simple solution. Simply putting on there, making them face buttons or bigger, more legible direction arrows. that would be helpful as well. So I really can't think of a reason why they wouldn't make a D-pad other than this Switch Lite. They want uniformity, right? So now that the Switch Lite is coming out, if you have another Switch Lite with a D-pad button, you're bifurcating your user base, right? Some people have this, some people have that. So that is the main reasoning why I think that they have not done the D-pad. But to not have JoyCons, separate JoyCons have a D-pad that are actually made by them, not Hori branded. So those Hori branded are, yes, they're officially licensed by Nintendo, but they're Hori products. I've played with one, it's great, but I hate holding the Switch in handheld mode. I just wanted to get off my chest and get something out there. It's good to be back. Thank you for tuning in, and cheers.